Hi guys, welcome back to Mama SOJ vlog. How you guys doing? If you are new here, you are welcome, and if you are returning subscriber, God bless you as you always come back to watch my video. My people not be smart, you know, and I'm not seeing a different news now they land from my table. And as the news they come, that's why they carry and come here to come share and with honor. For today's video, I'm going to watch out together with honor. All right, my people, we could go watch the video to see what really the apple for inside the video, my people.
He talks about fairness. He talks about being reasonable. He talks about doing the right thing and being fair to everybody. In a country where you have over 300 separate tribes, for example, key major tribes, over 300 of them, is he suggesting that it's fair and reasonable to have a Fulani man in power for 8 years in the north, and then you don't have another Fulani man in power for another 8 years? 16 years of Fulani rule. That is what people like Shagari are advocating and suggesting. And what we are saying is that no, this cannot be right. The Fulanis themselves, not the minority like Mukhtar Shagari, but the majority of Fulani themselves in the north are saying enough is enough. We've had enough of this. Let power go down to the south in the name of equity, fairness, unity and peace, and let us have a president that will serve the interests of Nigeria and not a question of Fulani and Fulani succession. This country is not owned by anybody, and people like Shagari and others that toy with this idea of continuous Fulani run. I happen to have Fulani blood in me. I'm a Fulani traditional title holder. I'm somebody that has most of my friends are Fulani, so I have nothing against them. But that suggestion that we should continue in that way, you know, it feeds into the whole narrative that we should separate as a country, which nobody wants.
So, I mean, you are campaigning and you're preaching that there needs to be a balance, and that, I mean, after an 8 years of a Fulani rule, I mean, so that same argument, if it's flipped,
yes,
in terms of, because there are two major issues here,
right,
the issue of ethnicity,
right,
and the issue of religion.
Sure.
So those who are watching you right now will wonder whether you're speaking entirely the big, I mean, the whole picture in terms of how things should be balanced out. If you're criticizing the other end, that they're not balancing things out, I mean, the question will be posed to you, that is your party balancing things out? You have a President Muhammadu Buhari who is a Muslim, and you're saying that in your own party you should have a Muslim, not only as a presidential candidate, but also as a vice presidential candidate. What do you tell your critics tonight?
First of all, we don't balance things out. We're moving away from the idea of balancing things out in the name of religion.
So it doesn't matter in area of religion.
Let me make this very, very clear. Buhari has a vice president that is a Christian. As far as I'm concerned, I've said it over and over again, I'll say it here. He did absolutely nothing to protect Christian rights in this country over the last 8 years. And I criticized him for that. And I'm saying to you that the fact that Buhari had a Christian a vice presidential candidate is one thing. Tinubu's is a new dispensation, a new beginning. And what we are saying is this: what matters is not to have a Christian vice presidential running mate who may not even be able to protect the interests of it, but to have a man with character, strength, righteousness that can defend the interests of Christians and Muslims.
Ethnic balancing will achieve that. That's your argument.
No, it's not
that we should balance things in terms of the tribal and ethnic.
Let me state the argument.
Ethnic complexity that we have.
Let me state the argument.
But I'm saying,
no.
And I'm asking you tonight that a lot of your critics have asked you, your party, that if you are criticizing the other side about ethnicity, the same argument goes if you flip the page on the issue of religion.
Can I answer that? Because you've asked me. Okay,
it's the third time I'm asking you.
But each time you haven't let me answer. Let me answer it clearly now to you. I say it again. The issue of having a Muslim president and a Christian president, that is Buhari, vice president, that is Buhari and his running mate, for the last 8 years is one thing. Fair enough, okay? Now, the issue of having another Fulani president this time around for another 8 years, okay, is something that is dangerous for this country. Now, that's totally different to saying that you're having a Tinubu candidacy, that is a Muslim presidential candidate from the south, and a Muslim running mate. Why? Because the Muslim running mate has absolutely no executive power or role unless it's delegated. The cry for justice, the cry for equity is the cry for power shift. It's not a cry for religious shift. It's a cry for power shift.
You don't think
it does not matter? Listen, in our part of the country, the southwest, Christians and Muslims are one. We don't play that game. Okay, in Osun State recently, no Muslim complained. Where you have a state of 50% or 60 to 40% Christian to Muslim, or 50%, where a Christian won the election with a Christian running mate. No Muslim complained, no Christian complained. The issue is who is at the helm of affairs. who is the president, who has executive power. And what we are saying, it's far more dangerous to have a Fulani for 8 years, another Fulani for another 8 years, and then secondly, it is far less dangerous to have a Muslim, southern Muslim, as our president, and to have a running mate that is a northern Muslim as his running mate, which has no significance whatsoever in terms of executive power.
Let me ask you yet another question, perhaps one of those that emerged from Mr. Bola Tinubu's appearance at the Chatham House and his response to whether or not his engagement locally in Nigeria, because I think that's what matters the most. The people who are voting should be able to hear directly from the man who is seeking their vote.
Right.
And I'd like to ask tonight, will Bola Tinubu grant a Nigerian media a one-on-one interview? Just like the way you said that he did well with the BBC.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's a decision for him to make when he gets back, and he will make that choice. I suppose I can comfortably say that it would depend on which media house. If he's certain that it will be fair, equitable, and just, it's not a setup, I don't see why he should. He has not shied away from doing that. What he has shied away from involving himself in are town hall meetings, which are clearly pitted against him to humiliate him, and the fact that there are no debates, nobody has asked him to come to any debate. You just have town hall meetings with various presidential candidates. But as far as a one-on-one interview is concerned, I don't see why he shouldn't, but it's entirely up to him. I put it to you that when he does that, if he can do it with the BBC, surely he will do it with some local station at some point in time. And when he does that, the Nigerian people will come to the conclusion that, contrary to the disinformation and the lies and the deceit and the falsehood that's being peddled about this great man's mental capacity and his health and all the rest of it, and his age and all that, the rest of that rubbish will go out of the window. He has proved it to the Brits, he's proved it to the world with his BBC interview, and he'll prove it here locally as well when the time comes.
Let's close this interview in 30 seconds. And I like to draw inference from the answer that he gave in that interview when they asked why is it better if he's going to vote for any of the other candidates. He said no, that he will vote for him. I mean, he's better of the lot. Those who have, criticism have come on that response also. Why Nigerians should consider Bola Tinubu as their choice. You
want me to answer that? I'll answer that. First of all, Bola Tinubu does not betray his own. Bola Tinubu supports his own. Atiku, on the other hand, always talking about how wonderful the Obasanjo administration was. And he's right, absolutely wonderful. I was in that government. Greatest government as far as I'm concerned in this democratic dispensation. Yet Atiku sought to betray that government, destroy that government to the extent he undermined us, to the extent that I personally had to ask him to leave cabinet on 2 separate occasions because he was working against us. So he cannot be relied on. We couldn't rely on him during Obasanjo's time. Obasanjo has said it. How can he be relied on now by the Nigerian people? He marginalized his own party, destroyed it by kicking out 5 governors, denying them the presidential ticket, denying the South, denying them of the chairmanship of the party, denying them so many other things, and insisting on the Fulani to Fulani succession. As far as we are concerned, that's one of the reasons why Tinubu will say he's better. As for the other one, a man that, as far as I'm concerned, sits there. When he was governor of Anambra State, he was issuing ID cards, insisting Northerners should have ID cards and nobody else, shipping them out of the state in droves in cattle vans and sending them back to the north. This was a man that has a beer symbol of Biafra on his beer cans. This is a man that went to Nasarawa and called Nasarawa State a country. This is a man that did not allow non-Igbos to have stalls and markets in Igbo markets all over the country. This is a man whose vice, Dati Ahmed, called that all homosexuals and people that did not believe in non-heterosexuals, that is members of the gay community, should be killed publicly. This running mate like that, so on and so forth. So when you have people...
I've asked you about your candidate, but you're spoken about the other candidate.
No, you asked me why my candidate felt he was better than all those. And I'm telling you that he's better than all of them because of all those reasons. These people are not straight. And of course, the ignorance of Dati Ahmed is monumental. I won't talk about that tonight. Absolutely, to the extent that people were saying afterwards, oh, we didn't know that he could do this. And I'm saying, well, you just don't know this man. And you've decided to believe the disinformation and the lies of people that see nothing but negative things about him.
Perhaps the meat of the conversation, maybe it was lost in all of those debates, is whether or not the style employed by your representation at the Chatham House was the norm at the Chatham House rules, and perhaps the way and manner Chatham House operates its question and answer session. And the question that a lot of people have also been asking is,
my people, now the video night on a new watch finish, so on a see what it happen for inside the video. Alright, my people, I would like to end the video for you. Make sure let me know what you all take for the comment section. And if you never subscribe, make sure subscribe so that you don't miss any little gist way I upload. On a bye till I come, I will start. Bye guys, catch my next video. Bye guys.